Aloha and welcome our Sangha, friends, and visitors to Hawaii Betsuin's 9:30 a.m. LGBTQIA+ Sunday service. I'm Debbie Kubota, and I will be your MC for this morning's service. I'd like to take a brief moment to provide some background. In case you don't know, LGBTQIA+ is an acronym which stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer or questioning, intersex, asexual, and more. I am the Honolulu District Commissioner and Chair of the Commission on Buddhist Education. About a year and a half ago, the Commission on Buddhist Education developed a brochure entitled Buddhism and Coming Out. This was in response to hearing about some of our youth in the junior YBA who were going through challenges with their gender identity and coming out. Coming out refers to the process of recognizing, accepting, and sharing with others one's sexual orientation and/or gender identity. This brochure offers a Jodo Shinshu perspective, providing support, guidance, and resources for those individuals that are faced with the challenges of coming out. I am thrilled that we are having today's service, as it is a wonderful offshoot of our Buddhist education focus. We will begin the service with the Kansho, ringing of the temple bell. The bell is symbolic of the Buddha's voice, calling people to come together to listen to the teachings. As the bell calls, let us quietly reflect upon Amida Buddha's great wisdom and compassion. During the Kansho ringing, please remain seated during the entrance of the ministers. It is hoped that sitting quietly helps you reflect more deeply. Today's service order is Vandana in Tisarana, sutra chanting, verses reaffirming the vows, unison reading the Creed 2. Then we'll have a music video. If you want to sing out, followed by a message by Dr. Ben Bruch. After the message, let us sing the Gathas Wake Up and the Nembutsu. Please all rise if you are able. Let us start today's service by chanting of Vandana and Tisarana, led by Reverend Charlene Kihara. Please open the service book to page 7 or see the screen. Please be seated. Today's sutra chanting is verses reaffirming the vows. Please open the service book to page 117 or see the screen.
If I fail in any
Please all rise if you are able to recite the Creed 2. Please open the service book to page 4 or see the screen. Casting off the self-power mind of the varied practices and disciplines, we entrust ourselves single-mindedly to Amida Tathagata to save us in regard to the one great matter of birth. With one thought moment of entrusting, we know that we are saved and that our birth is settled. After this, we say the name in joy and gratitude, repaying the Buddha's graciousness. We acknowledge gratefully that we are able to hear and understand this teaching because of the benevolence of our Master having appeared in this world and of the successors in the transmission, the good teachers whose words were not shallow. Beyond we will observe the established rules of conduct throughout our lives. Namandabs, namandab, namandabs, namandab. Please be seated. Next, we have a special audio-visual made just for this service, a music video celebrating the diversity of our Sangha and being our true selves, set to the Cat Stevens song, "If You Want to Sing, Sing Out, Sing Out." Wasn't that a wonderful video? And I especially love the scenes from the participation in the Pride Parade, which was just last Saturday. The Hompa Honganji Mission of Hawaii and Hawaii Betsuin had an entry there. So thank you so much to Dave and all the others that contributed to this wonderful video. And now we have a treat. At this time, I would like to introduce our speaker for today's service, Dr. Benjamin Bruch. Born in Kenosha, Wisconsin, Benjamin Bruch moved to the East Coast to attend Harvard College, where he received his bachelor's degree in English cum laude in 1997. Ben returned to Harvard for graduate school, earning an AM and PhD in Celtic Languages and Literatures. Between 2007 and 2011, he lived and worked in Europe, where he studied medieval manuscripts, taught Celtic courses as a lecturer and professor at the universities of Bonn and Vienna, and worked to help revive Cornish, the endangered Celtic language of Cornwall. In 2011, Ben and his family returned to the mainland USA and lived on the campus of Scattergood Friends School, a Quaker boarding school in West Branch, Iowa, where Ben's husband, Rüdiger, served as director of development. 3 years later, the family relocated to Honolulu, Hawaii, where Ben became an instructor at the Pacific Buddhist Academy. At PBA, Dr. Ben teaches courses in social studies, history, law, literature, linguistics, foreign languages, mathematics, and Celtic music. After moving to Hawaii, Ben and his family began attending weekly services at the Betsuin, and in 2017, Ben was confirmed as a member of the Jodoshinshu community during the Gomonshu's visit to Hawaii, receiving the Homyo Shigaku, one who aspires to learn. In addition to his work at PBA, Ben also serves as a member of the Betsuin Board of Directors. May I present Dr. Benjamin Bruch.
Good morning and welcome, and thank you to Debbie for that wonderful introduction. Many of you know me as a member of this Sangha or a teacher at PBA, the Buddhist high school located just behind this temple. Some of you, including maybe some over Zoom, may have been my students at PBA or in Betsuin Dharma School, while others might have worked alongside me on the temple board or at the BWA, or as parents unloading endless pallets of Girl Scout cookies for our daughters' troops. Today, I'm grateful that Rinban Hasebe and the Betsuin Sangha have invited me here to deliver a Dharma message in honor of LGBTQIA+ awareness and Honolulu's Pride Month. I am proud to be part of this faith community that has welcomed me and my family, my husband and daughter. It is an honor to be with you on this day when we reflect on how our Buddhist faith embraces the LGBTQIA+ community, just as Amida Buddha's primal vow embraces us all. It also makes me proud to see the inclusive pride flag flying outside our temple this morning. Proud of our Sangha, the values it represents, and its willingness to live those values and show them to the world outside our temple gates. Of course, pride is not a word we encounter a lot in Buddhism, at least not in a positive sense. As Buddhists, we're encouraged to avoid pride, the boastful kind of pride that is the opposite of humility, the pride that says we're better than others because of who we are and how we live. But that's not the kind of pride that brings us here together today. Pride marches, celebrations, and gatherings like this one grew out of a different idea, embracing pride as the antidote to feeling shame. At the time when the first pride marches were organized in the 1970s, LGBTQIA+ people were told every day of our lives in subtle and not so subtle ways that we needed to be ashamed of ourselves. Marching to show our pride was a way we could assert our dignity, our worth as human beings, our right to be valued and embraced just as we are, the same way that Amida Buddha accepts us. Alongside the word pride, there are two other words I want to bring into my talk today, words that have a lot of meaning and a great deal of power. Those words are faith and family. When I was growing up as a gay teenager in Wisconsin in the 1980s, those two words, faith and family, did not have positive associations for me. They didn't make me think of safety, security, and community. In those days, groups that called themselves faith-based organizations often talked about how people like me ought to feel shame rather than pride about who we were. Whenever there was an effort to protect the rights of LGBTQIA+ people, to decriminalize our relationships, to allow us to visit our loved ones in hospitals, adopt children, or serve openly in the armed forces, those faith-based organizations pushed back, claiming that their faith demanded that such discriminatory laws and exclusionary policies stay in place. In these discussions, the word family also loomed large. As a teenager, I quickly learned that any organization that spoke about family values did not have my best interests at heart. In those days, and sadly this is still true today, many young people were driven out of their families once their LGBTQIA+ identity was revealed or even suspected. Many groups that claim to promote family values made it clear that, in their eyes, only a heterosexual marriage could form the basis for a family. The message was loud and clear. People like me did not belong in families and certainly did not deserve to have a family of our own, a spouse, a child, legally recognized relationships with all the rights, privileges, and protections that come with them. By the time I was 15 years old, there were a few things I was sure of. First of all, I knew I was gay, which meant that if I ever fell in love with someone and wanted to spend my life with that person, it would be with a man. Second, I was convinced that I would never have a family or even be able to get legally married to the person I loved. And third, I was firmly resolved that I would never be a member of any faith community or organized religion. Of course, given that I'm here today addressing my fellow Buddhists at this temple where I, my husband, and our daughter have been members for many years, I suppose it turns out that, like a lot of 15-year-olds, I wasn't right about everything. But one thing hasn't changed. There's never been a day from age 15 to age 50 when I have questioned my identity as a gay man. Today, as in the 1980s, opponents of LGBTQIA+ rights and visibility often assert that families, particularly children and young people, need to be protected from seeing people like us so that they will not be drawn in by our glamorous lifestyle. That argument always falls flat for me, though. As a child and a teenager in Wisconsin, I did not know one single openly gay person. The representations of LGBTQIA+ people I was exposed to in literature, TV, and media were almost entirely negative. At worst, we were presented as predators, criminals, people with no moral compass. And at best, we were served up as comic relief or depicted as pathetic figures condemned to a life of suffering, and especially in the 1980s, an early death from AIDS. Even the most positive depictions of LGBTQIA+ people I saw traded in stereotypes and caricatures. We were never the hero of the story. At best, we could aspire to be the funny sidekick or the best man at the main character's wedding. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Despite all this, though, and without having access to accurate information about LGBTQIA+ people in school, at home, or on TV, I could tell that gay was the word that best represented who I was. And thanks to a fortunate childhood and the presence of good people in my life, I was still convinced that I had worth. Based on what I had taken in through books, media, and the words my peers used to describe people like me, I didn't expect to have a happy future, a lot of friends, or a family. But when I entered college at age 17, I came out as gay anyway because I needed to live my truth. I was hopeful that one day I would find someone to share my life with. But faith and family were still dangerous words for me. Fortunately, in the decades since, a lot has changed. Family came my way with the turn of the millennium. One day in 2002, I met my future husband while working behind the cash register at a foreign language bookstore in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where he had come to buy German books. We began dating, moved in together, and got married in 2009 in Vermont, the first month that same-sex marriage was legally available to us in that state. The following year, we became parents, welcoming our daughter, who has grown up in a home with 2 languages, English and German, 2 faith traditions, Buddhism and Quakerism, and 2 loving dads. But the faith part of the equation was not yet in place for me in 2009 when I got married, or even in 2014 when our family relocated to Hawaii and I began teaching at Pacific Buddhist Academy. I knew very little about Buddhism when I moved here, and most of what I thought I knew turned out to be wrong, especially with regard to Shin Buddhism, which was altogether new to me. Because of my affiliation with PBA, I began attending temple services at the Betsuin in 2014. Not long after, I became a temple member In 2017, as you heard, I was confirmed during the Gomonchu's visit to Hawaii and was subsequently elected to the Betsuin's board of directors. Faith has become a big part of my life, so much so that I'm even willing to sit through a 3-hour board meeting for it. So what is it that inspired me to become a Buddhist? In our board meetings, we spend a lot of time talking about how can we encourage young people and those who come from different cultural backgrounds and faith traditions to join our Sangha and participate in the life of our temple. As our Sangha grows increasingly diverse, so do our offerings and activities. We add meditation and yoga classes. We organize committees to address social and environmental concerns. We make services more family-friendly so that young children and their parents can attend and participate. We even try to add some rock music into the mix. I guess I'm a bit of an outlier, though, because what convinced me that Jodo Shinshu was the right faith for me, and that faith even had a place in my life at all, was the most old-fashioned, conservative, traditional practice our temple offers, chanting Sho Shinge. Starting in 2014, every morning as I was preparing to teach history and civics at PBA in that lounge room right over there, I would hear the Kansho ring and then hear a tiny group of ministers and Sangha members join together to chant a 750-year-old sutra in medieval Japanese for half an hour. One day when I didn't have a class meeting, I joined them and I was immediately hooked. What is it about Shoshinge that enabled me to hear the calling voice of Amida Buddha filtered through the words composed by Shinran Shonin over 7 centuries ago? Shoshinge is divided into 2 parts. The main text, which takes about 15 minutes to chant, and then another 15 minutes of wasan, which are 4-line poems Shinran wrote describing Amida Buddha, the power of Amida's primal vow, and the history of Pure Land Buddhism. Every week, we chant a different set of 6 wasan because there are over 300 of them, and it takes a whole year to work through them all. But right at the beginning of the cycle, right in the first 6 wasan, Shinran says of Amida Buddha, "The liberating wheel of light is without bound. Each person it touches, it is taught, is freed from attachments to being and non-being. So take refuge in Amida, the enlightenment of non-discrimination." The word non-discrimination jumped out at me right away. Non-discrimination is a word I use a lot in my classes on history, law, and civil rights. It's an idea that I deeply believe in. I was not expecting to find it in a medieval text written half a world away in a language I don't even speak. I talked to Rinban Hasebe about this word, and she confirmed for me that, yes, indeed, non-discrimination is the proper translation of the medieval Japanese word byodo. And this is how I began to realize that Amida Buddha, the enlightenment of non-discrimination, was the Buddha for me. Later, in Wasan 92, Shinran writes, "When a person realizes the mind of non-discrimination, that attainment is the state of regarding each being as one's only child. This is none other than Buddha nature. We will awaken to it on reaching the land of peace. When we hear Amida's calling voice, when we entrust ourselves to Amida's compassionate vow, we awaken to the possibility of becoming like Amida ourselves upon reaching the Pure Land. Like Amida, we will be able to regard each being with the same love, care, and compassion we feel toward our only child." Jodo Shinshu is sometimes called family-friendly Buddhism because from its very beginning, it's embraced the idea that having a spouse, having a family, and having a connection to all the people in your world is a natural and even desirable thing, and entirely compatible with becoming enlightened as a Buddhist. Where many Buddhist sects of Shinran's day taught that enlightenment could only be earned through lifetimes of study, meditation, contemplation, and complete detachment from family and society, The power of the Nembutsu and Amida's primal vow can reach anyone, anywhere, no matter how burdened with real-world cares and responsibilities, and without requiring them to leave behind their loved ones and communities. Amida's vow lets us aspire to realize the mind of non-discrimination. No one will be excluded. No one will be abandoned. It's no surprise, therefore, that Shin Buddhism is a religion that walks its talk when it comes to non-discrimination. Jodo Shinshu ordains ministers without regard to their gender identity or sexual orientation. PBA, where I teach, is a school that welcomes all kinds of students from all kinds of family, cultural, and religious backgrounds. Because this is what Buddhism is all about, providing a refuge for all our fellow beings, equally and without discrimination. Even in the 1970s, long before same-sex marriage was legally recognized by the US government or any state, and at a time when same-sex relationships were still illegal in many places, at least one Jodo Shinshu temple in California was already conducting marriage ceremonies for same-sex couples. Over the decades that followed, more and more Shin Buddhist ministers committed to the principle of non-discrimination made LGBTQIA plus people welcome in their sanghas and performed weddings for couples, regardless of the gender of the participants. This enlightened approach is something that we can take pride in as followers of Shinran, but as I said earlier, Buddhists are much better at humility than pride. When asked why they took such an early lead in supporting the LGBTQIA plus community, I bet most of those Buddhist ministers would have simply replied, "How could we do otherwise, believing what we believe?" This is why when I hear people say that their faith requires them to exclude people from their home, from their family, from their church, from their business, from restrooms, classrooms, sports teams, and public spaces, I reply that my faith in Amida's primal vow teaches me to stand against that kind of exclusion. Amida's compassion is provided equally to all, and to exclude anyone from sharing in the rights and privileges that I enjoy goes against the deepest principles of my faith. As a Buddhist, I must take a stand against discrimination. How can I do otherwise, believing what I believe? When I hear people say that families must be respected and protected, and this means LGBTQIA plus people need to be kept out of classrooms, out of textbooks, out of sight and out of mind, I reply by saying, I agree that all families need to be respected and protected, your family and mine, because all families deserve the same respect and protection. Every child has the right to see, hear, read, and learn about families like theirs, families that may not have two married opposite-sex parents. And every young person should be free to dream about growing up and starting a family of their own with the person they love. These are the Buddhist family values I stand for. How can I do otherwise, believing what I believe? In times like these, it's more important than ever not to allow such powerful words as faith and family to become the exclusive property of those who would use them to discriminate against, oppress, or suppress others. Those words are our words too. As a Shin Buddhist, I state with pride that my faith calls upon me to work tirelessly against discrimination and for equality, equity, and inclusion. My family values inspire me to treat all families and all people with respect, and not remain quiet when LGBTQIA plus voices are silenced. How can I do otherwise, believing what I believe? Mahalo nui loa, and thank you for being my fellow travelers on this journey. In conclusion, I'd like to invite you to put your hands together in Gassho and join me in expression of gratitude to Amida Buddha. the Buddha of infinite light and life, the enlightenment of non-discrimination. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ben, for what a wonderful message you've provided. Thank you so much. Please all rise if you are able and open the White Gatha book, Sing Namo Amida Butsu, to page 148, to sing the Gatha Wake Up. Also, let us sing the Gatha Nembutsu. If you do not know the song, please open the service book to page 135 or see the screen. Please be seated. Now I'd like to excuse any of our Dharma School families and students for an activity in our lounge, which is next door. Do we have any guests today? Oh, yes. I think in the back we have some guests. Welcome. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, I have a few announcements. Next Sunday, here at the Betsuin, we will be conducting our Eitai Kyo Sunday service, which will be held at 9:30 a.m. in this main temple. We will have a special message by Reverend Murakami. Both the Honpa Honganji Mission of Hawaii is still continuing the Maui Wildfire Disaster Relief Fund, as well as Honganji member Carrie Kubota's business, Our Garden Collective, selling Lahaina Honganji sticker packs with 100% of proceeds supporting our Maui ohana. Here at the Betsuin, we are starting to accept Hawaii Betsuin board nominations. Anyone interested can email Betsuin Secretary Steve Lose at hawaii.edu. We will have an election this coming November. On November 19th, here at the Betsuin, we will be having our end of the year temple cleanup. We will start cleaning from 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. And after in the social hall, a simple lunch will be provided. So please come out to share the joy of cleaning together. We hope to see you there. I'd like to share a couple additional announcements. If you're interested in the LGBTQIA+ community, we have had 2 educational seminars related to this group. The first, which is entitled LGBTQIA+ 101, was presented by Cameron Miyamoto, who is the director of the UH Manoa's LGBTQ+ Center. And we had a wonderful panel consisting of Honganji members, which included individuals from the LGBTQIA+ community, as well as parents of LGBTQIA+ individuals, and they were all Honganji members. The second seminar, entitled Diversity and Acceptance in Amida's Vow, was presented by Reverend Koe Umezu of the West Los Angeles Buddhist Church. And this particular seminar expanded upon Amida Buddha's 18th vow and the acceptance of all sentient beings. If you're interested, the links to both of these seminars are available on the Dharma Hub, which is a webpage of the Buddhist Studies Center at bsc.hawaii.org. Do we have any other announcement?
Good morning. Ohayou gozaimasu. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming and today. And then thank you, Ben Sensei, for your beautiful and wonderful message. Kind of mentioned that in the Ben Sensei's the message, we have the morning 8 o'clock morning oasaji service of the chanting of the Shoshinge every morning. So please join if you have like to have a fresh start with the chanting of the Shoshinge. Also, we will next week, Thursday evening at the 7 o'clock, we also have a nighttime Shoshinge offering too, which is with the candlelight evening sutra chanting. So if you like to try, come. It's going to be the next week, Thursday, 7 o'clock. And also, we will have the Tibetan Buddhist meditation classes offered at the Betsuin too. So now we have a lot of different kind of activities and Buddhist related the things is happening at the temple, and I'm really happy about it too. So if you're interested in, please check the office or check the website. So thank you very much. Thank you.
With so many great things happening at Hawaii Betsuin, just wanted to remind people, many of you are probably already subscribed to our weekly Betsuin Bulletin email. But if you're not and you'd like to be, just get me your email address or leave it at the office and we can subscribe you. It comes out usually every Friday, tells you what's happening on Sunday, and then it tells you about other things, like the recent one had information about the Tibetan Buddhist meditation, which starts Monday, November 6th at 7 o'clock in the Annex Temple. Okay, thank you.
If there are no other announcements, this concludes this morning's service. Again, thank you very much to Dr. Benjamin Bruch for sharing your wonderful message. Thank you very much to Mrs. Wendy Umori for playing the organ. And also thank you very much to Mr. David Atchison, Mr. Wayne Yoshioka, Mr. Alan Kubota, Mrs. Irene Nohara, and Talon Yang for their help with the online service. Please join us for refreshments and fellowship in the social hall downstairs. Again, thank you very much for attending today's service.